It looked like the Chargers were headed for certain disaster, but Justin Herbert and Ladd McConkey found some magic late, and the Chargers are 4-2.
You are Locked On Chargers, your daily podcast on the Los Angeles Chargers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, and welcome into the Locked On Chargers podcast. I'm your host, Daniel Wade, joined as always by my co-host, David Drogemeyer, and we've been covering the Chargers now for 10 seasons, but this is our 8th year as the host of the Locked On Chargers podcast, bringing you your team every day. Thank you to all of the everydayers out there for making us your first listen. To make sure that you never miss the show, go subscribe or follow for free on the Locked On Chargers YouTube channel and listen wherever you get your podcast from. David, it was ugly at times, but the Chargers got it done, and now they're 4-2.
You're right. It wasn't pretty, but in my opinion, in the NFL, when you only have 17 regular season games, every win is crucial and critical. So there are no ugly wins. They desperately needed this win. It was close to a must win, and they got it done.
As close as a week 6 game could be for a team with a winning record for sure. But this episode is brought to you by Mazda. Like our players, we sweat every detail because when you make every moment count, pulling off the unexpected is only the beginning. Stay tuned later for highlights in this week's Moving the Game Forward. Mazda, move and be moved. And the play that moved me was the one at the end of the game, David, where once again, Justin Herbert, in a day that's similar to the Broncos game where it's like, doesn't feel like you're going to have it offensively. I mean, the protection started to break down. You put your offensive line in a terrible spot where they know you have to throw for it, one timeout, less than 45 seconds left in the game. And Justin Herbert just makes a full-blown miracle happen along with Ladd McConkey. I mean, Justin Herbert, 2nd and 10, shrugs off a sack. That probably ends the game, pretty much. Like, they could use their time out there, but then it becomes just so much tougher to find that game-winning field goal if you have to burn that there. Shrugs off Jalen Phillips, who had him dead to rights. It was a certain sack. He finds Ladd, throws a laser to him. Ladd makes a man miss. He goes 42 yards, sets up the 33-yard game-winning field goal by Cameron Dicker. But David, the Chargers kind of needed a miracle at that point. Everything was going wrong for them. But unlike teams in the past, and I had said it, I said, hey, this looks a lot more like pre-Harbaugh than it does a Harbaugh team. But they still found a way to do something those teams weren't able to do, which is, even after collapsing, being able to fight through it and come back and win.
I said before the game on Friday that I thought it was going to take a Herculean type effort from Justin Herbert to elevate the play of the people around him, and he showed up in the biggest moment of the game, getting that very, very good pass rusher off of him, keeping his eyes downfield, hitting a wide open Ladd McConkey who came back to the quarterback, and then you watch what Ladd McConkey does in the open field with that magic. His stop and start ability is lethal. It is deadly in the dead leg. It was fantastic to watch. Those are the big plays that are made by the crucial big players on your football team. Justin Herbert answered the call. Ladd McConkey answered the call when they absolutely needed them to do it.
Yeah, and I mean, even last week, Justin Herbert was pretty darn good in that game. He was fantastic again on Sunday, completed 76.3% of his passes, 264 yards, 2 touchdowns, no costly turnover. Second half, Justin Herbert, 17 of 22, 171 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 129.2 passer rating. Right now, per the broadcast, second most game-winning drives in any quarterback since he entered the league, only behind Patrick Mahomes. Who would have guessed? But also, switching the ball to his left hand to avoid the strip sack in that scenario, right? Shrugging that guy off, which is the physical part of it is such a big part of it too. Not many guys could have done that. But also firing a laser to Ladd McConkey, who was able to, because it was such a good pinpoint hard throw, stop on a dime, get the defender going the wrong way. Like, if he has to adjust for that ball, if he has to go down low for that ball, he probably makes the catch. Maybe you get a first down. You don't get a 42-yard gain. So I thought all of those things were super key. And let's also not forget, on 1st and 10, Justin was getting crunched before that. The play right before that, Justin Herbert was crunched. Somehow not only found a way to get rid of the ball, keep it out of harm's way, but also get it close enough to Ladd McConkey so it's not an intentional grounding, because you have one timeout, 40 seconds left, right? One sack can ruin everything. But back to Ladd, it felt, David, like this was waiting to happen, right? We were going to see a big Ladd game sooner or later. We kept believing, but with Quentin Johnston down in this game, the Chargers needed him to be the 2024 Ladd, and he absolutely did. And to your point, on that play, you forget how good he can be after the catch. And last year you had these breakaways in the playoff game against the Saints. There were several of them, and you're like, it feels like he's so close to that big game. So him being able to stop on a dime like that, be able to get back up to full speed so quickly, get that chunk play, and then become the first Chargers receiver this year to crack 100 yards. We knew it would happen eventually. It was great because they needed it to happen in this game.
Yeah, another thing, I just felt like it was only a matter of time. I mean, this was absolutely going to happen. It was just when it was going to take place, and it happened today against the Miami Dolphins when the Chargers desperately needed him to step up and be that guy that we all know that he is, right? It's not like he wasn't getting open. Yeah, maybe he had a couple of drop issues here and there, but Ladd McConkey showed up today, and he was a focal point of this offense, and he made plays consistently throughout the game, not just at the end, but whenever the Chargers went to him, he pretty much was providing quality production. A big, big game, and I hope this just opens the floodgates for Ladd McConkey to show everybody how good he is, because to me, he's one of the really, really good young wide receivers in this league.
Yeah, and no doubt about it, he's been off to a slow start, but to have a 7-catch, 100-yard performance, get that touchdown now, also a good sign, right? Using him more in the red zone back-to-back weeks with the touchdown for Ladd McConkey, which I think is huge. Has the awareness in that moment to try to get into field goal range, but don't get too cute and get tackled in bounds and have to be able to burn that timeout, which makes it much tougher to be able to center it for Cameron Dicker on that final kick. So a lot of, big-time plays by Ladd, but just good football awareness as well, and several key first downs throughout the games. To have a 100-yard game with kind of the limitations they were facing offensively in this game, it should not go unnoticed by any means. And I think at the end of the day, David, obviously there's a lot of improvements that have to be made. The game you played today probably won't beat the Colts next week, right? That's just the facts. At the end of the day, though, with the injuries that they had going into this game, it was win at all costs. Both of us were nervous. We picked them by a small amount, but we were still worried about this game because of the matchups. At the end of the day, you get to 4-2, you stay perfect in your division, you stay perfect inside your conference.
It's massive. I mean, it's a huge, huge win for the Chargers. They needed this, and it is also just Jim Harbaugh never losing 3 games in a row with the Chargers. Not happening, didn't happen today, and now it resets once again. So I think they refocused a little bit. Yeah, it was still sloppy. There's still some mistakes and lots of things to clean up for sure, but it's a win. It's massive. And now you stay atop of the AFC West. You maintain that distance from some of the other teams. You stay right there with the Denver Broncos. And it was very, very important because you look at the opponents you're about to play and things are about to get a whole lot tougher.
Absolutely. I mean, the Chargers need their offensive linemen back desperately. They were in this game with tackles 5 and 6, with Austin Deculus and Bobby Hart, who was just signed off the streets playing tackle for Justin Herbert in this game, and you win that game. Like, at the end of the day, you win that game. You put up 29 points in that game. And I thought the Chargers did a much better job with their quick offense in this game, having a better game plan. I think Justin Herbert sacked once, maybe in this game.
Time.
They that bold prediction.
I mean,
we got to figure out who they.
Well.
Yeah, I mean, credit to whoever had that bold prediction, too, that said he would only get sacked one time. I'll figure out who it was.
We see you.
I mean, and still, like, the red zone offense, man, still a problem in the first half.
Terrible.
It cost them so much in the first half. You have 3 drives inside the red zone in the first half. You end up going 0 for 3 as far as scoring touchdowns go, and you end up 2 for 7 on the day. You did find 2 in the second half, which was big time. It's really 2 for 6 because that's including that final drive where you get in the red zone, and obviously that field goal you're not going to hold against them. Right. But what I'd say is, 2 for 6, not great. You blew a 13-point second half lead. You got gashed in the running game again, but you are the worst second half scoring offense in the league so far this year. You were tied with the Giants going into this week. You put up 20 in the second half, right? You had back-to-back weeks of 10-plus penalties and almost 200 penalty yards. In this game, still some costly penalties for sure, but 7 for 45 feels a lot better than 14 for 108 or whatever it was, right?
Yeah.
So, you couldn't play as sloppy of a game and still pulled this one off. And for all the defense, and the bad parts of it, you still found a way to turn Tua over. We'll talk about the defense later on. But I did think this game was also about Kimani Vidal, who really, after getting cut, not making the roster, second-round running back, we knew they needed someone to step up against this really bad Miami Dolphins run defense. And Kimani Vidal did that in a big way. And Arondé Gadsden, after a crucial fumble early, responded to that in a big way. So we still have a lot more to get into from this game. We're getting into all that and more in today's Locked On Chargers podcast. You know the saying, look good, feel good? The problem is that most dress clothes only check one of those boxes. They look sharp but feel stiff, hot, and high maintenance. That's why there's Mizzen & Main. Mizzen & Main make classic menswear with performance fabric, so it's effortless to look sharp and feel comfortable. They actually invented the performance fabric dress shirt over 10 years ago, and they've perfected it ever since. I know a couple of Mizzen & Main shirts that I have. There's one thing that I think they are just the perfect occasion for, and that is a wedding. And every wedding, you will see me in a Mizzen & Main shirt, because not only do I look nice enough for the ceremony, right, and look great, once I get to the reception, the drinks start flowing, things start moving around a lot more. It's comfortable enough so you're not just constantly sweating. You feel like you're in something you can get down with, as well as look nice enough to show up to a wedding in. That's what I love. It's the feel of athletic wear, but the professional look of professional menswear. Right now, Mizzen & Main is offering our listeners 20% off your first purchase at mizzenandmain.com with promo code LOCKEDONNFL20. That's Mizzen, spelled M-I-Z-Z-E-N, and Main, MIAN.com, promo code LOCKEDONNFL20 for 20% off. And if you'd rather shop in person, you can find Mizzen & Main stores in select states. I also need to tell you guys about Mazda, because this episode is brought to you by Mazda's Moving the Game Forward. For those who believe it's not just about playing the game, it's about redefining it. There are moments that do more than just put points up on the board. They move crowds, move culture, and keep the game moving forward. And this week, the player who moved the game forward was Justin Herbert. And let's also throw Ladd McConkey in there as well. Both of those guys, when everything was going backwards, they found a way to keep it moving forward. And I mean, it's very similar to the Broncos game where we saw that, but you need only the best to show up in those biggest and bright moments. And that's what Ladd McConkey and Justin Herbert did. That's what keeps fans and players alike moving forward, always chasing the next great moment. And I think these guys have several of those ahead of them in their future. But when you follow that, what moves you, the unexpected is only the beginning. And just like there's more to every highlight, there's more to a Mazda vehicle. Mazda, move and be moved. David, let's talk a little bit more about the offense here, and specifically about Kimani Vidal, who obviously is a great story, someone we were high on when they drafted him as a 6th-round pick, but didn't really get much of a chance in his first year. And then with a chance to kind of solidify his roster spot in training camp and in the preseason, wasn't able to. But in this game, he was the guy they called him on, right? Because you always hear about next man up mentality, right? You always hear about it. The problem is, and we've seen it a lot with the offensive line, the next man up, there's only so much you can do, and you better hope you have the right guy for the job. And I think for the one thing we talked about in the keys this week was like, man, if the Omarion Hampton-less Chargers running game can't get it going against this Miami Dolphins defense, it's pretty cooked. And you also hear the Chargers are shopping around for running backs, according to Ian Rappaport. All Kimani Vidal does, David, is when he got that moment today, he took advantage of it in a big way.
He sure did, and he was ripping off some big runs throughout. It wasn't just, here and there. It was throughout the football game. 18 carries, 124 yards. That's ripping it off at 6.9 yards per carry. Ooh. That is huge and massive in helping keep the Chargers in reasonable down and distance, which greatly helped a patchwork offensive line, along with the tight end. Shout out to them for helping out the offensive line for sure.
Will Dissly back in the fold.
Was greatly missed. Great to see him back there. But also Kimani Vidal got that touchdown in the receiving game as well. So it was a complete performance from Kimani Vidal, and you love to see it. This is all these backups live for. Just that one chance, that one opportunity to go out there and prove what they can do, and he made the most of it.
Well, I think also you combine that with the fact that, Hassan Haskins goes 6 for 14, averages 2.3 yards per carry in this game. It's like he took over, right? One of these guys was going to be the guy that got the majority of the work, and he had, with his first few carries, enough to be able to get the chance to have those big moments. And again, I still think like it was very feast or famine for the Chargers running game, right? Like he broke off several chunk plays, which is where most of that yardage comes from. But I also just thought he did a good job when it wasn't there, not taking a 2 or 3 yard loss, taking the 1, taking the 2 yards, even though it sucks to be in 2nd and 8, it sucks a lot more to be in 2nd and 13. So
Yeah.
I thought even when the running, the lanes weren't open, it wasn't clear, he did put his head down and go get what he could. And I thought that was big because the Chargers really couldn't afford to be behind the sticks. And for most of this game, they were third and very manageable.
Yeah.
But let's also give a shout out to a Rondé Gaston who came up huge, David, after a costly turnover. And if you're going to obviously never turn the ball over, we saw how much it swung the game last week. But I think for a rookie was really, really impressive the way he came back and answered afterwards.
He showed perseverance, Daniel. Like this is what perseverance looks like. You go out there, you make a mistake. Not only is it a mistake, but it immediately turns into a 49-yard touchdown the very next play. So it hurt tremendously. And other people could have absolutely crumbled. And we've seen it before, right? We've seen it with other players. They make a mistake and then it's in their head and they carry that mistake to the next play. And that did not happen for Rondé Gaston II. He repeatedly showed up. He caught the football and he was rewarded for that by being involved in the game late and still getting targets from Justin Herbert. So a fantastic performance from him. His first game over 50 yards receiving. I know Alex Instruff of Guilty as Charged put that out. First of many, absolutely first of many. I think this is the beginning of a beautiful marriage between Justin Herbert and Rondé Gaston II. This is how trust is formulated. When you make mistakes, you get back up. That's how you are defined, is how you answer those calls in those trials and tribulations.
Yeah, and he's just such a natural receiver too. But yeah, it was the two Achilles heels of this team. You have a costly turnover, they take it the next play and have a huge chunk run play for 49 yards and touchdown. And it felt bad. But as you know, Jim Harbaugh said, hey, you had 7 clutch catches after that. Really had 6 because it still counts as a catch when you fumble it. But the point is made. He needs to be a center point of this offense, and this is a great, or just to be involved week in and week out in this offense. Obviously, Ladd's going to be a centerpiece. You have other guys, Quentin Johnson when he comes back, but he needs to be a part of it, whatever it is, because obviously they look better when he is heavily involved, and he came up huge in this game. Also, do not remember seeing Tyler Conklin really in this game at all. Right? So I think that kind of is a sign that shows you who they trust, and could have lost that trust with that fumble, but came up big after it. But we have to, David, I would be remiss if we did not talk about the special teams, because as you told me earlier, you said one of the things that we have to talk about were the special teams being special. And it starts with Cameron Dicker, who was actually perfect. He was 5 for 5 in this game. If he misses any one of those, it's a different game. They missed one. You didn't miss one, right? Not only that, came through in the big moment. His second game-winning kick of the year. I believe the broadcast said he was 4 for 4 on game-winning kicks coming into this, and he goes out and hits this one. I know he had
they were
one
trying their best to jinx him.
Oh my God,
dude.
Everything they
your
said.
Mouth.
Everything they said. He's been perfect. He came in on the Eagles and hit one, and then the first game with the Chargers, he hits a game winner.
Got nightmares in my head.
Doesn't matter how close it is in those moments. You still have to have nerves of steel to go make that play. And there's other guys who shout out David, but it starts with Dicker.
It really does. I mean, it's such a luxury to have Dicker, to have the confidence to know that when you put him on the field, he's going to put it through the uprights, and he was perfect. 4 for 4, 5 for 5 if you include the 58-yarder he absolutely just destroyed right through the uprights. Probably would have been good from 65 plus. Like, it just the dude's such a weapon. And not only that, but J.K. Scott handling the botch snap to get that down in place for him to be able to make that game-winning kick was fantastic. The tackles on special teams were huge in this game. Like, really, really big tackles. Justin Aboigbe, Del'Shawn Phillips, Kendall Williamson all had really big hits on special teams and really kind of showed that kind of fire and that physicality that you want to bring in that phase.
Absolutely. Justin Aboigbe, 2 big hits on kickoff return. Awesome to see that. And I mean, let's also, one guy brought up this week, on the solo show, I said, hey, you have a couple of practice squad guys who come and make a big difference. Shout out to Nyheim Hines, who hadn't played in a game since 2022, and he gets a chance at the end of that game where you need field position, and he rips a 40-yard return to get you to the 41-yard line, where you're one big play away from being in Cameron Dicker's field goal range. You're 2 first downs away, right, in that situation, 10 yards at a time to get into his field goal range. So huge shout out to Nyheim Miller Hines.
Got to feel good for him, man.
Such
That
a good
feels
story,
so
dude. He
good.
got cut from the roster after fumbling 3 times in the preseason, 2 muffs and 1 on the ground. And then he gets not only cut from the team, gets cut from the practice squad, right? He wasn't brought back until this last week. And man, did they need it. Like, I mean, they obviously, we'll talk about the running game going forward and what they need, but they needed him for this reason as well. And that kickoff return unit for the Chargers was lackluster all season. They came through in a big way today. Even KOS with a big 34-yard return too, where I thought he was taking that to the house. But we have to talk about the defense because it was up and down. You know, it was good and bad, and we're going to talk about all that and more in today's Locked On Chargers podcast. When the opening whistle blows on a new repair, get your crew moving forward with Supply House. Order today and see parts on your doorstep tomorrow. Over 280,000 plumbing, HVAC, and electrical items from the most trusted brands in the business. Their real-time inventory and honest lead times keep you from punting on projects, while their industry-leading customer service always has your blind side. And there's nothing worse than thinking you found something and then having you find out they actually don't have that. That real-time inventory is great. So if you need parts for a fast project, Supply House has next day delivery. Talk about a game changer. The part finder tools and 3D schematics can save you hours on jobs where every detail matters, and their Trade Master perks like priority shipping and dedicated support make the whole process smoother. Join the free Trade Master program today and score serious perks like priority shipping, lower prices, and dedicated support line. Visit supplyhouse.com to sign up for free and use the promo code SHNFL5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. Real people, real service. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer for you guys you don't want to miss, because right now new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right, pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you will unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. And I love FanDuel because it gives you so many different ways to play. I built parlays, tried player props, even followed the live lines during the game. I love live in-game betting when I can, being able to get a feel for the game. It makes watching football even more exciting when you've got a little something riding on the action. Whether you're a casual fan or love diving into the stats, FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. The odds are out, folks. The Chargers have the Colts at home next week, and the Chargers are 1.5-point favorites against the Colts next week. Maybe thinking some guys could come back this week, but man, that's a huge vote of confidence they have in the Chargers. I was shocked to see that, and I think it's a good sign for them. But what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. David, we have to talk about the Chargers defense, which was, Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. Obviously, we saw the good and the bad. Little the luster, coming off of Jesse Minter over these last couple of weeks. That'll be a buy or sell. Do we think Jesse Minter's job is safe in 2026? Because I'm talking about him not leaving to become a head coach, not because the Chargers would fire him, obviously. Yeah. But thank you guys. You've been here for the tough losses. We appreciate the everydayers every day, though, even especially after the big time wins, and the post-game shows are the best, obviously. But thank you for making us your first listen. If you want to keep up with everything around the NFL, make sure to check out 2 shows a day on Locked On NFL, where you get Tyler the Madman rolling and my guy Tony Wiggins in the barbershop on YouTube and wherever you get your podcast from. David, I want to start with the bad. Maybe I'm a sicko, but I mean, it was, up and down performance to say the least. But I did think, man, like that, a Jesse Minter defense, especially against an offense that's obviously missing Tyreek Hill, an offense they had shown they could have some success against in this game, would not blow a 13-point fourth quarter lead. It gave me flashbacks, obviously. I tweeted the thing about Jim Harbaugh and this team's looking like the charging teams of the past over the last 3 weeks. But man, like that was tough to watch. I mean, now they've given up, season highs in back-to-back weeks. 27 points last week, 27 points again this week. They ended up getting it done, but man, like it was rough there for a second.
Oh, for sure. I mean, they allowed 3 plays over 20 yards and 2 over 40 yards. And while they did that, they allowed Devon Achane to go off for 128 yards and 2 touchdowns, where he was barely even touched on either one of them because the Chargers could not secure the edge of their defense. It was an embarrassment. It was a huge mistake. If you do that next week, Jonathan Taylor might run for 350 rushing yards against this defense. So hopefully they're able to have a couple of guys come back and help them secure the edge, because it certainly got away from them in this game.
Yeah, I mean, like potentially Khalil Mack next week. Like that's potentially. Obviously,
Please,
we don't
Lord.
know. But his 4 games missed are over. He could come back.
Yeah.
He'd be a huge help there. Obviously, Denzel Perriman, the physicality he brings, and he was a full participant later on in the weekend practice.
Yeah, seems like he'll be back soon.
Yeah, it feels like they were just giving him one more just to be ultra sure. But yeah, man, I mean, obviously the before halftime stuff, the 2-minute defense just kills me with this team. And I promise we have
the
positives
2 minutes
from this
in general
defense.
is just annoying me with this team.
Yeah, no, for sure. But that's what I'm saying. 2-minute defense before the half or at the end of the game, right? Those are the two
horrible
2-minute situations, and the Chargers were bad in this game. Like 5 of the 6 games this year, the Chargers have allowed points to the opposing team with less than 2 minutes before halftime. 5 of 6 games. Like one of those you have to get off the field. I mean, there's been so many big plays. There's the big play to Cortland Sutton. Obviously, you give up the big play last week to Luke McCaffrey right before the half. And this week, man, what can you even say about that play by Jalen Waddle, man? I mean, just
a great play by him with a great concentration.
Insane catch, dude.
Yeah.
That was just a special play for sure. But then, like, your 2-minute defense at the end doesn't come through, right?
Why is he by himself in that situation? That's what.
And what he's talking about, Darren Waller on third. See, this is the thing. The Chargers are in an interesting situation because they're burning their timeouts. There's about a minute left, but they have to make sure they have time in case the Dolphins score. The other part of that is the Dolphins have to score a touchdown
exactly
to be in the game at all. Like they have to win the game or they're going to lose the game. If you stop them on 3rd and 4th down, you also win the game.
Right.
You could have won the game that way. You could have forced a hugely crucial 4th down if you get off the field on 3rd down there. But what happens? Darren Waller, with 46 seconds left in this game, is wide open, like in the back corner of the end zone. Since that's the thing, is like I trust Jesse Minter. I feel like he's been getting so much juice from this, fruit that he's squeezing. Like it feels like he's gotten the maximum out of the pieces that he's had out there, and he's missing some important pieces too. But man, like it's just you can't have a guy wide open in the back of the end zone, and David, you can't get gashed on the running game every single week.
Absolutely not. I mean, like we talked about it going into this game, Darren Waller, especially in the red zone, you have to know where he is at all times. You can't let that guy get that wide open. It is just something that has to get cleaned up. And it seems like the Chargers are good to allow that to happen once or twice a game this entire season. They got to eliminate that. And yes, they got to get the running game under control. If they do not control their edges, it is going to get really ugly.
This was a Dolphins team that had 26 rushing yards last week. They've had some better games, but they had 26 rushing yards.
They had two 40-plus yard plays going into this game, and they got 2 in this game against the Chargers.
And it's just the way they're happening, right? Like it was just, the 49-yarder where you can't keep contained. And, RJ Mickens, rookie, you're playing a rookie. I get it. He takes a bad angle there, right? Yeah. You have to be able to. You're the last line of defense there, and he wasn't able to bring him down and didn't take a good enough angle to give him that shot. But that's the thing. You have a running back in the NFL like a Devon Achane. He's not facing 4-2 running back, 4-3-2 running backs in college. That's a different angle you have to take. And I mean, he didn't get many live bullets this season outside of the preseason.
Yeah, tough spot.
That's a tough spot for the rookie. But you have to game plan for that. And you have to have more than just him being one-on-one for, a 50-yard touchdown. Like, it just has to be better than that. And then you have, the second touchdown that he scores, which was just way too eerily similar of the 2 Bill Krosky-Merritt touchdowns last week,
untouched,
where you go wide to the left and nobody's touching you. Like, I don't know if they're banking on Derwin James just not being able to get there and the Chargers just keep trusting that he's going to get there, but there's a flaw in your defensive schematics if it keeps on being a running back with a free shot at the edge and you're just going to hope someone can chase him down. That's just not good schematics. Like, it's just not a good way. That being said, there was also a lot of good on defense, David, including the Chargers picking Tua off 3 times.
Yeah, they turned Tua Tagovailoa into Tua turn the ball over, which is wonderful. That's exactly what we wanted, what we needed to see. Big interception by Tony Jefferson. Gotta love that. And then, of course, the one to end the game by Derwin James. But the Chargers did a great job of capitalizing on those turnovers. It's one thing to get the turnovers. It's another thing to get them and then score off of them. And I think they did a great job of that. Getting more opportunities for Justin Herbert is only a good idea.
Yeah, man, and they needed it, right? They're an offense that needs all the breaks that they can get. And, obviously, the last one, Derwin gets, the game's pretty much over at that point anyways. But, both the games, they've played an immobile quarterback. They've picked that quarterback off 3 times. It was 3 against Geno, and it was 3 against Tua. And I think the bigger thing, to your point, those takeaways turned into 10 points for your offense.
Huge.
You scored 10 points all of last week.
Yeah.
Like, and when you weren't, you know what I'm saying? So like that's huge right there. Getting those 10 points from that is just great. And like, honestly, you brought up two of the interceptions. Easily the most impressive one was Benjamin St. Just.
It was.
After halftime, being able to undercut that route to Devon Achane, watching some film, knowing where it's going, and able to pick that ball off, because guess what? That led immediately to a touchdown. And I think that was the other part of the defense. As much as the defense fell late, they were the reason the Chargers were able to get back into it, because coming out of halftime, they had made some adjustments, right? And the Chargers got back in this game with an interception on that first drive by Benjamin St. Just. And then after that, the Chargers scored. Before that, they end up scoring after that, retake the lead again. And then after that, you get a 3-and-out where the Dolphins come out and get -8 yards on 3 plays. That was 2 series to start the second half where the Chargers defense helped them get back in this game. Now, get them back in the game and don't blow the lead that you've been able to build up, right? That goes without saying. But also shout out to Odafe Owe, a sack in his first game with the Chargers. Thule also got a sack, in the sack column in this game. I still think, later in that game, the lack of pass rush showed up a little bit, and I'm really excited to see once you have Odafe, once you have Khalil, once you have Thule all on the field, right? Or all in the same game. Like, I just think that's going to be huge.
And I love Odafe Owe's length too. Like, it's really apparent. I feel like
when he chased to it down, he's going after a quarterback. That's huge. He
has that mobility. He has that athleticism to be able to go out there and go get a quarterback. But like, I feel like once he gets more ingrained in the system and he gets more comfortable in this defensive system, that he's going to be a force in the running game as well, in run defense, because of that length.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I mean, I don't know. We'll see who's banged up, and who got banged up in this game.
Yeah.
But it was Kyle Kennard out there on that last drive, second to last drive, I guess, not including the interception drive for the Chargers defense. So I thought that was interesting.
He was out there a lot, actually.
Yeah, I mean, but on that drive, right, with the game on the line, I thought that was interesting. Obviously, when you have Bud and Thule and obviously your new guy all all available to you, I should say. So they just got to balance things out a little bit, but it starts with just the ceiling for this defense, the floor for this defense will just get so much better if they're just not atrocious against the run game. So I think, easier said than done, but it's also nice to kind of be able to pinpoint something and be like, man, if we're not giving up these 50-yard touchdowns week in, week out, we're going to be giving up touchdowns less per game. We're going to be giving up way less first downs, and we can kind of return to being one of the top defenses in the league. So a lot of moving parts defensively. Obviously, some injuries played a big factor in that as well. But I do think, hey, you made big plays at moments of this game. They got them back in the game, but now we'll have to see them get better at finishing those games defensively on their own terms. But I guarantee Derwin James felt like he finished things defensively with that interception off of Tua. But thank you guys, as always, for checking out the show. We appreciate all the everydayers out there. We'll be back with you guys on Tuesday for our buy or sell show, getting into the biggest Charger storylines and overreactions, including if Jesse Minter will be back in 2025 and 2026. If they still need a running back after Kimani Vidal's explosive Sunday, we're getting into all that. And if you want to contribute, hit us up at Locked On LAC on Twitter, where we will put a post out on Instagram at Locked On Chargers and our Locked On Chargers Facebook page. To make sure you never miss these shows, though, go subscribe or follow for free on the Locked On Chargers YouTube channel and listen wherever you get your podcast from, so you never miss the show. Have those notifications on. Man, 4-2. A chance next week to, honestly,
feels good
as favorites. A chance, I think, to shock the league next week with the Colts. Hopefully this week, make sure you tune in, because we'll be here every day. The Chargers start getting some of these guys back slowly but surely. But thank you guys for being here. It's always great to have you here, even after a loss, but it's much better when we get to have a fun victory post-game show. So we'll see you guys on Tuesday for Buy or Sell Tuesday. But until then, take it easy and go Bolts.